Thank you for your very kind introduction. Mr. Kim Gye-nam, Assistant Minister for Gender Equality and Family, Republic of Korea. Ms. Alison Miriam Davidian, Special Representative for the UN Women Afghanistan Country Office, and Excellencies, distinguished ambassadors, diplomatic corps members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin my own speech, I'd like to thank my deepest appreciation to United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Ambassador Sima Bahus, who is now Under Secretary General in charge of UN Women, for their very kind message on this very auspicious occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to speak to you on the occasion of today's International Women's Day commemoration. I was informed that since this year's International Women's Day fell on last Saturday, March 8th, we are commemorating it today. Taking this opportunity, I extend my warm welcome to Ms. Davian, Special Representative for the UN Women Afghanistan Country Office, for your hard work under challenging situation. Thank you for your presence and all the best for your future endeavor. At the same time, the attendance of many ambassadors and diplomatic corps members and supporters and friends demonstrate global attention to and support for the further engagement and empowerment of women and girls. As we gather here today, the theme of this year's commemoration, I quote, "For all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment," resonate deeply, deeply with me. During my tenure as the 8th Secretary General of the United Nations, I highly prioritized International Women's Day. So today's event brings back many memories from those commemorations and the remarks I delivered during those days. I believe today's theme serves as a powerful reminder that we are still very far from where we need to be in the sphere of women's rights. Indeed, we are struggling with entrenched inequalities that affect not only women's lives, but also the social, economic, and political development of our entire world. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which was adopted in 1995, is one of the most significant milestones in our global pursuit of gender equality. It is not a mere framework, but a call to action that demands the full participation of women and girls in every aspect of life, everywhere. The Beijing Platform for Action set out a bold agenda across 12 critical areas, from economic empowerment and education to health, violence prevention, and political participation. Since my time as UN Secretary General, I have championed this agenda because I believed that I continue to believe that the empowerment of women is not just a moral imperative, but a game changer for peace and security and economic development. We cannot achieve the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development or solve conflict or combat climate change without achieving SDG goal number 5, which means the empowerment of women and girls. As this year marks the 30th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and the 15th anniversary of establishing UN Women, we need to look back on 3 decades of progress and 15 years of progress when it comes to UN Women and ask ourselves, how we have done enough. Have we done enough? While there is much to celebrate, more girls in school, more women in leadership roles, and more global recognition of gender equality, I have to admit, I think we must admit that women and girls all around the world still face tremendous challenges in both low and high income countries and their dignified life in their social life. According to UN Women's 2023 report, 1 in 3 women worldwide will experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. And the global gender pay gap remains at least 20%, with women earning on average 20% less than men for work for equal value. In the corporate world, women occupy only 25% of the board-level positions globally. In political offices, only 25% of parliamentarians worldwide are women. When it comes to parliamentarians, women parliamentarians, in 2012, I was paying an official visit in my capacity as Secretary General, and I addressed the National Assembly. At the time, I remember later who became president, Park Geun-hye. She was a member of parliament, and there were very few women parliamentarians in 2012. In my speech, I said that there must be at least 20% of women in this hall. Then it took, I think, 12 years, exactly 12 years. The current membership of Korean parliament, exactly 20%. I am not much satisfied, but still grateful that they have taken note of my urging to the members of parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, in the corporate world, business, women occupy 25% of the board-level positions globally. In political offices, only 25% of parliamentarians worldwide are women. So this is average, whether you are living in developed or developing countries. In this regard, gap between commitments and actions remain unfortunately wide. Therefore, on this occasion, I call on all the government, development partners, businesses, philanthropies, civil society organizations, and global citizens to step up as a matter of top priority to fully realize the promises we made 30 years ago in Beijing. I am personally proud that I played an important role in establishing UN Women in 2010 in order to accelerate the UN's work on gender equality and women's empowerment. And I'm also pleased to see UN Women this year celebrating its landmark 15th anniversary as a global force for good, connecting the dots to leave no one behind. But the reality is that UN Women cannot do this work alone. It needs every government, every institutions, and each and every one of you to help all women and girls live a life free from violence, discrimination, and injustice. Taking this opportunity of 15th anniversary of establishing of UN Women, I have something to tell you, some secret things. When, as a new Secretary General, I really wanted to establish UN Women. In every country, every society, every companies, establishing a new bureau or new big organization is very hard, very hard. United Nations, if my memory serves me correct, Since then, I don't think any new organizations has been established in the United Nations, except UN Women. When I pushed this one, there was a strong complaints from diplomatic corps, particularly some ambassadors. Then one ambassador had an interview with the New York Times. I was surprised one day morning. Quote, what he said, Secretary General is not the king. We are not his subject, unquote. In his own name, it was a quoted name. I knew, I don't want to reveal the name of that ambassador and the country. I met the Prime Minister of that country. Mr. Prime Minister, I never claimed that I am a king. How come your ambassador accused me like this way, publicly, in New York Times? Oh, he was embarrassed. Then he immediately sent his national security advisor and his ambassador sitting before me in my office, apologized. Of course, he was recalled. After that, after this story spread, all the ambassadors didn't make any opposition. That's why I was able to establish this very hard work of establishing big organization with the UN Women, with the Under-Secretary General level. Then I was thinking that who should be the first one leader? Then there was some former prime ministers, women prime minister, former president, etc. Then I chose Colombian former president. Now she's still in UN system now, and you know her name. But in any way, she made the big foundation. After serving 2 years, she went back to Colombia and became president again. She was re-elected. After that, she came back to UN again. So this women empowerment really makes a lot of support and impact now. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just try to finish. Empowering women and girls is not just the right things to do. It is also the smartest single action to spur global progress for a more sustainable, peaceful, and prosperous future for all of humanity. Some people may contend that gender equality is not possible to achieve due to the different culture, but this is simply not true. Culture is often used as an excuse for doing nothing or not doing enough to maintain the status quo. And history shows many powerful examples where human progress was made when harmful cultural practices were halted and instead seen as injustice and oppression. With the political will, concerted efforts, and the shared commitment, we can break down the structural barriers to ensure all women and girls can thrive. We cannot wait another decade before we take serious, meaningful steps to achieve gender equality. The simple fact is when women and girls are suffering and their capacities and potentials are not maximized, this hampers us from having a better future. This is why I care. And this is why we must all take gender equality as our serious mission, a top priority business. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me now highlight 3 aspects that I believe require our particular attention in our work for gender equality. First, the empowerment of women and girls with disabilities is a critical part of our fight for gender equality. I always emphasize the importance of inclusive societies because true progress cannot be achieved if we leave behind those who face the greatest barriers. Second, we need to engage men and boys in challenging gender norm. Too often, we end up excluding men and boys from these conversations on women's rights. And in order to bring them on board, we need to make particular efforts to be strategic, welcoming, and inclusive. Third, the private sector must play its part as a key actor for accelerating gender equality with the firm belief that equality means a better business and elevated prosperity. You can adopt family-friendly policies, offer equal pay for equal work, and take more proactive measures to attract, train, retain, and take more proactive measures to attract, train, retain, and promote female talent. I encourage private sector leaders present here today to commit to advancing gender equality in their offices. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the empowerment of women and girls is the key to unlocking a better future for all. Next generation is counting on us. Let us not fail them. Let us together ensure that the next 10 years will be different from today. We should not just enjoy today's celebration in this room. We should go out and translate our words into concrete action for rights, equality, and empowerment of all women and girls. Thank you for your leadership and strong commitment for gender empowerment. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.